Muy buenas tardes para todas las personas que se unen a esta sesión informativa con Technical University of Denmark. Mi nombre es Karen Martínez, soy integrante del equipo de Consejería Académica y Relaciones Internacionales de COLFUTURO y el propósito de esta sesión es brindarles a todos ustedes y dar a conocer datos e información fundamental para todos y cada uno si sus planes de estudio están encaminados y orientados a llevar a cabo un posgrado en esta gran institución académica. El día de hoy nos acompaña Vanita Singh y Ollie Westby. Ellos son representantes de Technical University of Denmark y nos brindarán el día de hoy información muy valiosa acerca de la oferta académica, de la financiación, procesos de admisión, becas, hospedaje y recomendaciones generales para todos ustedes. En adición, abordaremos también información relativa al convenio que esta institución tiene con COLFUTURO, que consta de una beca del 50% en el valor de la matrícula para un beneficiario y 20% de descuento para 3 estudiantes en programas de maestría. Es importante mencionarles a todos que si tienen alguna pregunta o inquietud pueden escribirla en el cuadrito de Q&A y le responderemos a lo largo de la sesión. Así que sin más preámbulos, le daré la palabra a nuestros representantes. So, Vanita, Ollie, you can start with the presentation.
Thank you very much, Karen, for the very warm welcome. I'm sure it was a warm welcome. I could not understand anything, but thank you very much for organizing this for us. A very warm welcome to the students. Thank you for attending and joining us in this session. I will talk briefly about myself and then I will give the mic to my colleague. My name is Vanita Singh, and I'm from Technical University of Denmark, as Karen has just told you. I work as the admissions and recruitment manager at the university. I've been here since 2013, so I can help you understand. Today I would be doing the presentation and I would give you, a brief introduction about the university, the different study programs, what you can expect as a student at the university, and then, of course, you're welcome to ask us questions. We would be very happy to reply to your questions. So that is more or less also what Karen said, that there would be a presentation followed by a Q&A session. Now over to my colleague, Ollie.
Yes, hi everyone. So my name is Ollie Westby, and I'm working as the International Masters Admissions and Recruitment. So I work with this at the Technical University of Denmark. I'm fairly new, so I've only been in this position for not so very long. So I'm also here to see and learn as well. But yeah, I will assist with any questions that might come up. Thank you.
Lovely. So I thought we'll start with a short video here, and I hope it is audible.
You know that the things that you study at this university is very applicable in the real world.
One of the things that surprised me when I started DTU is how much they focused on group work and how much that work is geared towards the industry.
At DTU, there's an open door policy, which means that if you come across any problem or issue, you just knock upon the professor's door and they'll be always very glad to help you with your expert guidance.
You can even call them by the first names, and that evens the playing field.
I think I've been very lucky with the people who have been advising me. They are at the top of their field. They are the guys to go and ask, but also they are not full of themselves. They know that they don't know everything, and that's why we are researching and working together.
Having my master's at DTU really prepares for my PhD study because it teaches me how to learn new things very quickly.
You kind of are thrown out of your comfort zone to learn, to meet people, to network, be confident, and there's always new things to learn under the sun.
Was that audible? Ollie, was that fine? Yeah, okay, great. Now jumping on to the presentation about DTU. Yes, we'll keep the questions and answers towards the end. So let me just start by telling you about Technical University of Denmark. So I've already introduced myself, but this building here is, this picture here is of a building. It's very popular. It's known as DTU Skylab. and it is one of the most frequently visited buildings on the campus. And actually, this is the hub where students sit together and discuss ideas, and when the ideas convert to innovative, creative solutions, you never know. And students at DTU are very proactive with working with innovation and coming up with startups, and this is where it all happens. So today, the topics that I have put together in this presentation are to talk a little bit about Denmark and what the country is all about. And this is so important for you all because you're coming to a new country and you would be living here for the next 2 years, as a minimum, and hopefully longer if you want to be here. So you need to know what the country is all about, a little bit about how the people are. Then we'll jump on to the university. We'll talk about the mission, what are the strengths of DTU, location, rankings, DTU and numbers, the MSc programs that we have today, what are the teaching methods and student startups, innovation startups at the university, student life, why choose DTU? This is one of my favorite slides. Practicalities, where you would learn more about the deadlines for the application procedure and what are the costs while studying and so on and so forth. So these are the topics that we will be covering in the presentation today. So how is it being an international in Denmark? Now, this is very important because like you, I'm also an international here. And it's very important to know a little bit about what the country is all about. So basically, if you have been following the different surveys that take place year after year, one of the things that comes up is that the Danes are the happiest people. And one often wonders why this is so. So basically, the things that I have experienced here are the work-life balance. And this is so important because you get this possibility here to basically, control the work, control your work timings, and then balance it out with your private life. And that the beauty of this entire concept, it was something I've always heard as a child growing up. I come from India. And I've always heard about this concept, but I experienced it for the first time here in Denmark. And this is actually, it gives you a lot of freedom as an individual here in the country. So basically, it is a country with very high tax rates, but then there are benefits to it. You see, it's a welfare society. There's very good infrastructure. The education is free here. Healthcare facilities are free. It's very safe as a country. And of course, you can maintain a high standard of living. People are friendly. You will not find that it's difficult to communicate in English because Danes speak English very well. So language will not be a barrier for you. But of course, if you plan to be in Denmark for long after you finish your studies, and if you want to settle down here, then I would advise you to start learning the language, which is provided free of cost by the government. If you look at Copenhagen as a city, it's considered to be one of the most livable cities in the world. And that's basically because you find that, it's so beautifully built for both the pedestrians, but also for people who want to bike. Biking is huge in Denmark. The country is very well connected and people can take their bikes all across. The public transport is very good. You can really move around very comfortably from one place to the other. Now, although it's a very small country, but still it is making waves in different fields, like when you talk about sustainable solutions, or you talk about renewable energy, or you talk about innovation, modern architecture. You will find all these things where Denmark is playing a leading role in spite of being a very, very small country. And a very important fact is also the lowest crime rate in the world. Now, could DTU be your next university? So basically, the university was set up in 1829 by Hans Christian Ørsted, and he is the one who discovered electromagnetism. And way back in 1829, when he established the university, he had a mission. He thought that, whatever science, whatever whatever technical or natural sciences we are having at the university today, it should be of benefit to society. So you find that this is the mission that DTU still lives by. So our work is closely in collaboration with the needs of the society and giving back to the society as much as we can. If you look at the three main areas that happen at the university, education is of course one of them, but we also have innovation, which is very big at the university, and we provide scientific advice to the companies. Underlining all these things is what we call as research. So you will find that education is also research-based here at the university. So if you're one of those who basically likes to combine studies with research, then this is really a wonderful university for you to consider. Now, basically, if you look at the university itself, we have research centers all over the country. But we also have campuses that are spread out. And most of our classes, in fact, barring just one program that's moved out, is here at Lyngby campus, which is just north of about 12 kilometers north of Copenhagen. And it's in the greater Copenhagen area. It's very conveniently located for students who want to be in the capital, or if they want to be around Lyngby, it's very well connected and conveniently located. Rankings, very important from a student perspective, and one of the rankings that we are very, very proud about is the one that is here, which is called the INGI rank. Now, the INGI rank is basically an EU ranking, but according to this ranking, we were #1 in Europe and #1 in the Nordic region as well. So DTU has really come up very strongly within this ranking here, and that's something we're very proud about, and we constantly work towards placing ourselves not only in the European country or the Nordic region, but also globally. Some of the other rankings that you can look at, which is also very indicative of the work that we do at the universities. For example, if you look at the collaboration with industry, this is also something that we are very happy about, and we are #2 in the Nordic region, 5 in Europe, and 14 in the world. QS rankings, I know it's very popular amongst the students, and we are happy that we are well placed there as well. So these are the numbers at the university, the latest numbers, and what could be interesting from your point of view here is the figures over here. So we are 15,000 plus students in all, out of which 5,725 at the graduate level. So it's a heavy graduate school, as you can see. And out of these 5,700 students, we have 2,766 international students, which makes it to approximately 48% students at the master's level are international students. And this is something that we are constantly and consciously working with, we have been trying to increase the international students here on campus. We have these students coming from 107 different countries. So there's strong, great diversity, a great diverse population for students to interact with others from across the world. Gender is also something we've been focusing on year after year. And today we are on 33% women students on campus. And of course, that's something that we are trying to build upon. So what can the university offer international students? At the bachelor's level, we have only one program, which is in English, and that is the Bachelor's of Science in General Engineering. We have 32 master programs, and all of them are completely taught in English. So all our master programs are in English. Now, these are 2-year programs, and students have to achieve 120 ECTS to complete the master program. We have certain interesting opportunities within the master programs that you can follow as a student. For example, each master student has an honors track connected to it. So honors is a very specialized track. And if you want to follow an honors track, you have the possibility to do that. Of course, there are certain conditions attached to it, but there are a few students that decide to follow the honors track at the university. Another thing that we greatly promote amongst our students is study abroad. So you always have the possibility in your 2-year master study at DTU to exchange to one of our partner universities for a semester. Additionally, what we also have is the joint international programs. Now, these are tailor-made programs with partner universities, which give the students opportunity to follow half of their masters at DTU, the other half at the partner university, and get 2 degrees at the same time. Now, this is the list of all the MSc programs that we have at DTU. And if you look at these, if you look at this list, you will see it's very diverse. So we have, all the traditional fields of engineering, like civil engineering and electrical engineering and architectural engineering. And then we come on to the modern fields, where we probably could touch upon programs like ocean engineering. We could talk about sustainable energy because DTU is very strong. Denmark is very strong in sustainable energy. We have wind energy, which is very popular here. And then we have other programs. So these master programs are basically, how do we really work with them is we are constantly reviewing the master programs. We are constantly reviewing the demands that the industry has in terms of engineers, and then we tailor make our programs to meet those requirements. So this is how we work with our programs. And then we have specializations within each of these programs. So if you want to choose to do a specialization, you can do that, but you can also decide to make your own study plan at DTU. So DTU offers great flexibility to students to follow the study plan or make a study plan that fits in best with their career goals. Now, talking about the global cooperation or collaboration that we have with the university, we have 120 exchange partners today. And this simply means that as a master student, you can go to any of our partner universities for a semester, do 20 to 30 credits there, and get them transferred back to DTU as part of your 120 credit program. And this is the list of all our joint master programs. The structure and the admission process for them is different, and it really depends on which program you're looking at. So just to give you an example, if you're looking at one of the Eurotech programs or you're looking at the KAIST program, so let's start with the Eurotech program. Basically, it simply means that if you're following a MSc in engineering physics, for example, at DTU, you can do 1 year at DTU, and then you can do 1 year at the Technical University of Munich, and then you get 2 degrees, or you get 1 degree with 2 logos on it. So even the kind of degrees or the diploma that you get in the end, it could differ from program to program, and it could also differ from the application process. So depending on your interest and what you would like to follow, then you need to let us know, and then we can guide you through the application process. Now, teaching methods at DTU are quite interesting and unique also in a way, because it not only focuses on individual learning, but there's a lot of focus on group work. And group work is something that really is very attractive, because this is something that, we found out does not, you don't find it in a lot of universities. So just working with a group of students from different countries and looking at a scientific problem from different perspectives, students learn a lot on what we call as collaborative learning. And this is actually one of the strongest points, again, of the university, is this possibility of working in groups. There's a lot of hands-on access to world-class research facilities. Even now, if you look at the university, we are constantly modernizing it. We have new buildings, we have new infrastructure, and we are very, very proud of the opportunities that we are able to give students in terms of, because research is huge at the university, as I told you in the beginning. Irrespective of, whether you are a student or you're, at the faculty level. So research is huge at the university, and this is also something that we are constantly investing on. Some of the things that we are very, again, very proud about is we have introduced sustainability, innovation, and entrepreneurship as mandatory components in our master program. So you will find that there are mandatory courses on innovation that you have to take. You are challenged to think sustainably. You're challenged to come up with sustainable solutions. And this is the way we are trying to teach our students to think globally, to think of problems, to think about sustainable solutions. And this is something that we feel is extremely relevant in today's days and time, especially, you know, when you get the experience here as an engineer to think sustainably. You can go to different parts of the world and start applying the knowledge that you gain at the university. So this is something that you should be prepared for. This was the Skylab picture that I had in the very beginning, and this is the hub, the Student Innovation and Entrepreneurship Hub at the university. Again, matter of pride for us, 2023, 81 new startups, students, 64 startups, employees 17. So you see the student startups are overtaking the employee startups. And that's not just this year in 2023, it's year after year we find that students are really, really very innovative and they come up with wonderful ideas. So DTU is not all about studies. We strongly believe in giving a good dynamic student environment, a good, you know, student life to the students. So you will find that there are lots of things happening on campus. There are lots of clubs, associations. You can create your own if you want. You can be part of them. You can be part of different projects that happen on the university, like Green Challenge. And it's just, you know, it's entirely up to you as a student what you want to follow, but we give you all the opportunities. Now, this, as I told you, is really my favorite slide, and that's because everything that I have on this slide is something that I've picked up from students telling me over the years on why DTU, what is so special about DTU. And so one of the things, of course, that we have already spoken about it is innovation sustainability would be part of your study program. But DTU also works closely with industry. So there is a lot of close collaboration with industry. You do your master thesis, about 90% students plus students do their thesis with the industry. And that's when, you know, they get so it's not just very theoretical, it's very practical. It's hands-on approach to how you approach or how you study and, you know, learn different concepts at the university. Flexibility in designing your study plan. This is absolutely the, you know, the core element at the university. And while it might sound very daunting for new students, oh my God, you know, there's no structure here. How are we going to make our study plan? But we have a structure, but within that structure, there's so much of flexibility that you can beautifully design your own study plan to meet your goals. We spoke about this world-class research facilities, a very dynamic student environment for you at the campus. Project-based learning, it's a very flat structure. That means you can just go across and talk to your professors when you want to. And, you know, it makes it very easy in terms of communication between the student and professor. Diverse international community, very, very international campus. As I told you, 100 plus nationalities on campus. And you can exchange to a partner university. And we have what we call as, we have an introduction week, which is at the start of every semester. And that's the time that you actually get introduced to not only the university, but you also meet your fellow students. You understand a little bit about the Danish culture. It's a mix of a lot of different activities happening the week just before semester start. And then we have a buddy program. So you have a buddy that's allotted to you in the introduction week, and your buddy is your first point of contact for one whole semester. So that's also a very good possibility for students to just feel that, you know, they have somebody they can reach out to if they need to. Now, for a student, feedback and what the students really think about DTU is very important. And for this purpose, we enter into we conduct different kinds of surveys. And one of the surveys that we do is a global survey, which we call as the International Student Barometer Survey. And the results that are in these two boxes here, they are part of the International Student Barometer Survey that was conducted recently. So 92% international students would either actively recommend or fast recommend DTU to other students. So that also tells you that there's a great level of satisfaction amongst the international students, and they're satisfied with all their aspects. So we do listen to what students have to tell us about different things, and we try to improve our processes accordingly. Practicalities, how soon can you apply? So basically, there are two intakes for you. There's a spring intake that's coming up now, where the application portal opens on the 15th of August and closes on the 15th of September. And then you have the autumn, which starts in September. And this application portal opens on the 15th of November and will close on the 15th of Jan. So you have two possibilities. You can think about what works best for you. How's the application process? It's actually very simple. It's an online application process. You don't have to send us any documents by post. You just have to upload them on the application portal. And when you go to our website, we actually have, we have done a step-by-step description on the document requirements, the dates and deadlines, the application fee for non-EU students, and how do you submit an application. Costs, very important from a student point of view. So we have both the tuition fee and we have the living costs for non-EU students. So the tuition fee for 2 years is 30,000 euros. And the cost of living per month is approximately 1,200 euros. I know this is quite high. The living costs are quite high in Denmark, but you have the possibility of working as a student. So we'll just talk about that in a bit. But talking about DTU tuition fee waivers. So DTU has what we call as tuition fee waivers. Now, these are limited in number and they're merit-based. And these are only applicable for the autumn intake. But having said that, we also work with national scholarships. And for example, now COLFUTURO has organized this webinar, and we have an agreement with them. And according to the agreement that we have with them, you can apply for either intake. It could be the spring or the autumn. And the financial discount that we have with COLFUTURO will apply to you irrespective of whether you come in the spring or you come in the autumn. So that's a possibility where we have decided with COLFUTURO that we would support 4 students per year. And if you want to know more about the financial details, then you can check it up directly with COLFUTURO. So they will provide all the details to you. Now, coming to the living expenses, as I told you that it's expensive, but you can work as a student. So when I say that you can work as a student, you can work maximum 20 hours per week. And in the months of June, July, and August, you can work 37 hours a week. Now, the money that you get here is fine, and it can sort of offset your living expenses to a certain extent, but it's definitely not enough to cover both your tuition and living costs. So when you are preparing to come to Denmark or study at DTU, to begin with, it's always a good idea to keep all the costs in mind and then plan your studies. And then, of course, when you're working, then you can offset some of the expenses along the way. Now, I feel I've been seeing students year after year, and I feel some of the things that, you should be prepared for. If you want to come to DTU, you should be one of the kind that is, very curious mind, as you say, a proactive student, a proactive person, because Denmark is also a country where people are expected to be proactive. So you should have this kind of mindset where, you are proactive, you're curious, you have this desire to learn, you're willing to challenge yourself, you're willing to think out of the box, you're willing to listen to perspectives from different students across the world. You are prepared for this kind of, project-based learning, multicultural understanding of scientific issues, group works, human dynamics, because this is what you will be exposed to from the very beginning. And what's our as a university, what we are trying to do basically is we are trying to train you to have an international mindset, because we want you to be a global engineer. We want to build competencies in you that when you step out of Denmark or DTU, then you're able to apply the knowledge that you have learned at the university. So it's tough decisions for you ahead, of course. I understand you might have lots of questions along the way, and then you might be considering multiple universities. but you're always willing to reach, you can contact me if you have questions. I will be very happy to guide you. I'll be happy to answer your questions. If you separately also along the way, you need to have a Zoom meeting with me or my colleague, Oli, during the application process, or you need any other guidance, we are always there to help you. So this brings me to time for questions, which is actually the favorite part for me because I love answering the questions that come up after the webinar. So that is it from my end for now, and then I look forward to the questions that come up.
Vanita, Oli, thank you very much for all the information you have given us so far. You addressed very important points that will be very useful for all of us. A nuestros asistentes les queremos recordar que estamos finalizando este mes de julio con importantes presentaciones de universidades de países como Dinamarca, así que la invitación es claramente a que indaguen mucho más sobre la oferta académica y pues sobre aquellos temas que les hayan despertado interés. So we have some questions here, Vanita and Oli. And Laura asked, do you maybe have the Educational Innovation Education Master?
Say that again. Sorry, Karen, I didn't get that. Do we have?
Do you have the Educational Innovation Education Master?
So is Laura talking about a master program that is completely oriented towards innovation?
Yeah, educational innovation.
Yeah, educational innovation. We actually have one program which is very innovation oriented, which is called as technology entrepreneurship. It is not a Master of Science in Engineering program. It's a Master of Science program. And it's quite popular amongst both the international and Danish students. And it was one of the programs that was listed out in the 32 programs that I listed on the presentation. So you could consider the technology entrepreneurship program if you're totally you would want to be in that environment of innovation, for example, because that is one of the programs that's completely driven that way.
Perfect, Vanita. Thank you. Manuel Cedas, thank you for the information. How much is the application fee? And what is the minimum GPA and TOEFL score requirements?
Yeah. So the application fee is 100 euros. And by paying 100 euros, you can apply for 2 different master programs at DTU. So that's the first question. The second one was the minimum GPA. Now, this is a very interesting question because we have been getting an increase in the number of applications in the last couple of years. And with the GPA, it always happens that, the benchmark every year actually depends on the level of the other intakes. So if you feel that the level of the other applicants in a particular intake is very high, then you feel that, then the benchmark automatically goes up. But having said that, I think if you have a 75 plus or an 80 plus, then you're in a good place. And of course, you have to meet the, I would say 80 plus. If you're on an 80 plus, then you're in a good place. And you have to meet the academic requirements for admission. So that's, there are the courses that are required, which are specifically connected to the master program that you're applying at DTU for. So you have to meet those requirements as well. Coming on to the third question, which was the TOEFL requirements, it's 88 academic. TOEFL academic has to be 88.
Perfect, Vanita. Thank you. So, Vanita, we have some questions here through social media. So, you talked about some documents for the admission process, right? Are there supplementary documents such as an essay, motivational letter, interview, or portfolio? And if you could give us some recommendations in this regard.
Yeah. Now, that's a very good question. Now, basically, what we have is a set of mandatory documents that all the applicants have to upload. And then there could be certain optional documents that could also be interesting to see the overall profile of a student. So in terms of the mandatory documents, what we have today is that the student has to come up with the bachelor diploma and the bachelor transcripts. So these two are mandatory because the transcripts help us to see what your background is. And then we have also asked for your CV, because the CV helps us to get a progress, helps us to understand your progression through the different years. And then if you have some relevant, internships and stuff like that, we can see it on your CV. We do not have, as of today, we do not have work experience as one of the criteria. But if you have some, let's say, if you have some study-related work experience, then I would say that there's no harm in putting up that information as part of your application, because that again gives us an insight on, what you have been doing. If you have had a gap year, let's say you have had 1 or 2 or 3 years of gap year after finishing your bachelor. So that helps us to understand the student profile. In terms of letters of recommendation, it's good to have them, but it's not a mandatory requirement. So if you have them, then, especially if you're applying for the honors track, or let's say you're applying for the DTU tuition fee waiver, then you do have to have a separate, sorry, we mixed two things up. Letter of recommendations is good to have, but if you're applying for the honors track, then I would suggest that you definitely put them up. The motivation letter is part of a template that DTU has made. So this template basically has it has 2 segments. One is your pre-mapping, where you are telling us as an applicant what is your academic background and how it matches DTU's requirements. And the second part of the template is the motivation letter, and that is important, and that is where you really should try and I would say, tell us why. So we have asked you very specific questions in the motivation letter. For example, we have asked you, why have you applied for this program, and why have you chosen DTU as a university? So this gives you the opportunity of letting us know. Sorry. Just a sec.
Don't worry.
I am so sorry. This is what happens when you have Bluetooth and anybody connects anything. Okay, coming back to motivation letter. Yes, it's important to have motivation letter and a clear reflection of why you have chosen the program and why DTU, because it helps us to understand you as an applicant better. We do not have an interview system at the university. So there is not, there's no, every decision, all the decisions are just based on the application that you submit to us. So these are some of the documents that you have to put up. But of course, we have listed it all down on the website under the required documents. So you can also have a look there. And if you're in doubt about anything, don't hesitate to write to us, because we understand, as international students, you might have multiple queries, and we would always, want to provide the best guidance that we can from the university side. So, feel free to touch base with us. We can share links with you, we can guide you, and we can tell you what's important and what's mandatory and what can be an optional document.
Perfect, Vanita. So as a recommendation, don't hesitate in ask all that you consider that is not clear. Perfect.
Yes.
Manuel, tell us, if I were beneficiary of the COLFUTURO scholarship, would it be possible to win another financial aid to the DTU?
Yes, in fact, that's very much possible. It basically depends on what is the other financial aid. So, for example, I'll just give you an example. In Mexico, we are working with different scholarship bodies, and some of the students, what they do is they take the financial discount from one of the collaborative partners, and then they take a living expense from the other partner. So you can, of course, in Colombia, we have only one partner, that's COLFUTURO. So basically, if you decide to use the financial discount part from COLFUTURO side, that's absolutely fine. And then if you want to approach any other financial body within your country that can offer you some other kind of benefits, you're welcome to do that. That's not a problem from our side. But the financial discount can only be applied once. So if you, for example, if you get a DTU tuition fee waiver, then you just get a DTU tuition fee waiver. And if you get our agreement through COLFUTURO, then you just get a financial discount that applies as part of the agreement. So either or.
Perfect, Bonita. So we have this. According to the agreement with COLFUTURO, that offer 50% scholarship on tuition fees for one COLFUTURO beneficiary and 20% discount for 3 studies in master degree programs. How do you select those students who will be receiving that discounts?
Yeah, this is actually a very interesting question. Mainly because we have just signed the collaboration with COLFUTURO, so we need to put it into practice. But I'll just explain how things would work from our side. So when we are talking about, especially I will talk about the 50% discount, because that is a big discount that we're offering for one student. And therein, what we will be doing is we will be looking at the academic profile of an applicant. So the applicant who comes with the strongest academic profile, that applicant will be nominated by, so how do we from the admission team decide how an academic profile is strong? That is going to be decided by our academic head of studies. So the academic head of studies is responsible for deciding the academic, the level of academic, how strong it is. And then once we have confirmation from the academic head, is when we will inform COLFUTURO that this student, according to us, is the highest placed on the list. And then COLFUTURO will have its own set of requirements in terms of, the documents you need to submit or the any other requirements that you need to fulfill. And then it would be a joint collaborative decision between COLFUTURO and DTU on who would get the 50% discount and who would get the 20% discount. So the 20% discount would mainly be, will be mostly COLFUTURO's decision. We will not be really interfering in that part of it. So it's basically COLFUTURO that decides on the 20%. On the 50%, we would definitely like to have a say because it's a big discount that applies.
Yeah, perfect, Benita. Thank you. So, well, you talked also about people can work as a student, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us maybe how is the work experience in Denmark?
It's actually, very beautiful, to be honest with you, because we have student assistants working in our team, and we also see student assistants working in other teams. So basically, when we have students working in any team, there's a lot of flexibility given to the students to first and foremost prioritize their studies and their lectures. So that is your first priority. And of course, then you always have time around that because, although we have a 2-year master program, but it's not so, academically heavy that you don't have time for other activities. So students can always pursue, be a part of a group, a club, an association. The student can always work side by side. So you can, along with your immediate manager, a student can decide, okay, what are my working time? How many hours I'm going to work per day, and maximum 20 hours. So this is something that the student can easily collaborate with the employer or the manager and decide how and when they want to spread their work, through the week. So there is a lot of flexibility, and we have never encountered students feeling sort of extremely, pressurized in any way that they are, and of course, it's not mandatory you work 20 hours. If you feel that you would rather work for 12 hours or 15 hours, you can do that as well. It's entirely up to you what kind of, how much work pressure or workload you can take depending on the number of courses you have taken per semester. So there is a lot of flexibility and something you can, individually decide with your employer.
Perfect. Thank you. So we have some questions. Is there any problem if I travel with my family? Do you offer any help?
Yes, actually, no, there is no problem if you travel with your family. That's the first one. And what kind of help is provided? So the help here is not provided by the university as such, but the help is provided by the Danish government. So we have the Danish, we have the immigration office that is responsible for the residence permits for students who want to come to Denmark and study here and be a student here. And students are allowed to bring their families along with them. There are certain requirements that you need to do on your own in terms of filling out the application and showing them a financial statement in terms of, how much money you can, you need to show a certain amount that you can cater for their living expense while you're here. And as long as you're able to do that, then we have found that students have come with their families and it's not been a problem at all. Having said that, one of the things that you need to be prepared for if you're coming with your family is that the accommodation office at DTU does not provide accommodations for families. So the accommodation office is basically only catering for student accommodation. So that means that if you come with your family, then you have to look for an accommodation yourself. So that part of it, you need to be mentally prepared for and, start looking for it in good time so that everything is in place by the time you arrive here.
Perfect. Well, Anita, as you know, the education is different in every country. So can you tell us a little bit about the Danish education system? Anything we should take into account?
Yeah, I think, I actually find it very interesting because I don't know how it is way back in Colombia, but I can compare it with how it used to be for me as a student from India. And what used to really happen is in India, we had a very structured study program or a timetable that we used to call it. So if we were 60 students in the class or 100 students in the class, then all 60 or all 100 would follow one timetable. And there was no possibility for maneuvering or doing anything different. It was so fixed and so structured. And if you didn't follow it, then you just fell back in the race. But here in Denmark, right, from the basic school level to even coming to the universities, some of the main differences are there's a lot of room for, planning your own study. There's a room for developing your own, especially at DTU, you can make your own study plan. So let's just say, for example, there's a student who's interested in, I'm just giving an example, is interested in sustainable energy, and he's also interested in something from technology entrepreneurship. So the student, the study plan is built in such a way here at DTU that you can do your specialization in sustainable energy, and you can do 30 ECTS under the electives block from technology entrepreneurship. So you can take courses from any of the 800 plus master courses that you have at DTU, and you can make your own study plan. So that sort of flexibility, gives them that's actually one of our biggest, what I would say, strengths that the university can offer. The second thing is that, it's close collaboration with industry. So it's not very theoretical. So for example, again, if I have to compare it with India, because that's where I'm from, things are very, very theory based. You don't really know what's happening in the real world. But here it's all connected with the real world. So you'll find that, even the problems you're solving, the scientific problems that you're addressing, they're all connected with the real world. And that gives them hands-on learning with what's really happening in the industry. So that's a strong selling point, again, in terms of the education structure. Then, of course, there's this... we have a very flexible academic year. So basically, students can decide whether they want to do, in the 13-week period, which is the more spread out period, or they want to do an intensive 3-week period course. So there are different kinds of modules that they can work with, which gives them a lot of flexibility again. So these are some of the things that I think could be very interesting for international students, which is very different from, at least from India. I don't know how it is in Colombia, but again, group work is again something that, I know is not very common in different parts of the world. In fact, we have many European students also coming to DTU and saying, oh, I've not experienced group work. So even, being a part of the European culture, it's something new here. So that's also something that's really very interesting and challenging, I would say. And then, there's a lot of, there's also scope for thinking out of the box, challenging your professors. You don't need to do it just because you're told to do it. If you think differently, if you have a new idea, come up with it. People are listening, people are willing to listen, people are willing to give you the space to grow. If you want to, have a startup, if you have a brilliant research concept that you want to work with, have it as a special project, work with a company, do a research project. There's lots of possibilities here, for just developing yourself as a person, which I think is, the beauty of education that you find in this place. So I think there are lots of good things.
Thanks. Thank you so much for the advising. So we have some question. All the programs have the same English requirements or is different?
It's the same.
It's the same. And could you repeat? The requirement is 8.5 in IELTS?
88 in TOEFL. If you take an IELTS academic, then it's 6.5 overall. We don't look at the individual segments. We just look at the overall. And if you take, we also have a Cambridge CAE advanced test that we accept. If you take that, then it's a 180.
Oh,
so it's again, these different tests, they are listed up on our website. So if there's any doubt or if any, you need any clarification, you can always write to us and we would be happy to help.
Perfect. And in order to conclude, can students do an internship during the master program?
So this is a very interesting, very relevant question again. We don't have internships as mandatory components of our master programs. However, having said that, we like to encourage international students to look for an internship while they're here. And the reason for that is because an internship gives you an opportunity to learn about the Danish labor market. And this in turn gives you an opportunity to put your foot in the door as far as the job market is concerned. So you not only learn, but you have the possibility of, making a place for yourself in the company. So we do tell international students that if you get an internship of, opportunity, have a look at it, don't, and they may be paid, they may be unpaid, but it's, sometimes you have to look at it from a longer perspective rather than, a narrow perspective. And the longer perspective is, what are the benefits you would get by doing an internship? So something to really consider is, and we support the Danish Immigration Office, who's responsible for the issuance of the residence permits. They also support an internship visa for non-EU students during the time that they do an internship. So there is support provided from, both the government level and the university level as well.
Thank you. Manuel have the last question, and is, in the website says minimum of 88 TOEFL score. I got 84. Do you think it's possible to apply?
No, Manuel, I'm sorry, no. Because, these are admission requirements that are actually told to us by the ministry that the universities have to follow. So there are some admission requirements that are cast in stone, and we can't make we can't make exceptions there. And language is one of them where we can't make an exception. Having said that, whether you apply for the spring intake or if you decide to apply for the autumn intake, or you still have time to take the test, because you don't need to upload your test at the time of submitting an application. So you have a later deadline for submitting your language test. So you have time to actually prepare for it again and take the test. So I would say that if you can, just, I don't know when you took your last test, but have faith in yourself. And you're almost there, and I'm confident you can get it. You just need to prepare for it a little more and see which were the weak areas that you needed to work on. And hopefully next time when you take the test, you will get the 88.
Perfect. Thank you so much. We don't have more questions. So, well, Manita, Oli, I reiterate my thanks for this great informative session we had. Thank you for telling us about one of the happiest countries in the world. And I know that all our Colombian students will be very comfortable there. Thank you also for the academic information that, as you know, is fundamental for those who want to grow professionally in a great country like Denmark, and also for talking about innovation and sustainability, which is a fundamental characteristic of DTU's program. So thank you very much, and see you in the next opportunity. A todos nuestros asistentes, mil gracias por su asistencia y por todas sus preguntas. Esperamos que hayan sido del mayor provecho para todos y pues sigan indagando mucho más al respecto. Esa es la gran invitación de parte de COLFUTURO. Visiten nuestra página, visiten la página de DTU y manténganse en contacto. Muchas gracias a todos. Thank you, Anita. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for organizing this and for being a part of this. And we look forward to collaborating and, of course, with COLFUTURO, but we also look forward to hearing more from the students.
Thank you, Anita.
Thank you.
Bye.